Hi friends! I didn't want the video to run too long, so I cut that one. As a recap on this video very quickly, anyone who didn't see the first one. I was talking about how my imagination processor controls most of the thoughts inside of my mind, and how I have a right network and a left network. These are all visualized as computer systems. That's how I imagine everything inside my brain. So, as I demonstrated previously, we'll go over that again. We'll say the right network, I want you to go fast. We'll say the left network, I want you to go slow. Alright, go. Very good job. Now I'm going to switch it up. On the right network, I want you to go slow. On the left network, I want you to go fast. Alright, go. Done. Alright. And so in the other video I demonstrated how the two separate networks would operate the sound system and the airbags, which is run by the bellows. I picture the mechanical bellows down below, which is all linked through rewiring inside of my brain using the imagination processor through the networks, through the processors. I can imagine rewiring the circuit so I can send the electricity, which is the bioelectricity, into different components. So the controls for the right arm, I send those into the sound system. The controls for the left arm, I send that into the air system. Now what I didn't have time to do on the other video was to bring in further systems. I did mention the right leg and the left leg. Those are also control systems. There is also, by the way, if you see when the body moves this way, you have this internal core controls, and there's all these muscles and nerves down through here. So every single command process that goes through the electricity inside the body, I can redirect that electricity and I can put it in different locations. However, I have learned to do that. If I haven't learned how to do that, I can't do that. But if I have, then I can. It makes perfect sense. So, excuse me. Goodness. I'm still dealing with a bit of a cold. I thought it wasn't going to be on video. Oh well. My life. Reality. Here we are. So anyway, back on track. I wanted in this video to move into more complex sounds. Not those sounds. Where I'm going to use all of the processing capabilities. If I get too close, my head gets chopped off. I have to pay attention to that. But I like being next to the camera. Stay back. I have terrible wide angle on my camera, but it records really great video at not so wide angle. So right, I have to be back from the camera. I always concerned that the microphone won't pick me up. I want to be closer to the microphone, but whatever. Anyways, moving on. What I'm going to do now, you have to watch the first video to see everything that was already previously done. I gave a brief introduction. So now I'm going to take all these different processes through the imagination processor, through the right network, the left network. We're going to combine all of these together. It's going to be very, very important because I'm about to do something that involves air, which I will get close for that, for the air. Yeah? Air, see? So we have different controls on the air. So what you see is a twisting motion. So we've now wired that into the twisting. And we wire that into the two shoulders here. And we're going to make the vocal cords. We're going to put those on the fingers. Okay, good. This is all very important because I'm going to create the correct PSI. The PSI, the pressure that's inside of the sound system. The sound system requires the correct pressure to produce the correct sound. And so now, I'm going to demonstrate on camera, as other people on a different video have said. I might as well move this up. It's this behavior of coming up to the camera. Hi, how's it going? I don't know. I seem to like staring at it. It's got this little circle thing. I keep staring at that. I don't know why. But anyway, on a different video I made, it was sound into talking words. Sound into talking words was a brilliant demonstration of how I learned to create sounds into human language. Is how I processed it, imagined it, put it all together. And what happened was I run into a lot of discrepancies, a lot of complaints, and there was even a copyright issue in regarding the produced music. It was supposed to be an example of how the sound was produced through the imagination processor, but people said that it was a copyrighted piece of an American orchestra, and I thought, well, interestingly enough, I was thinking back, it was between either 4 or 5 years old. I was taken to see an orchestra. I listened to the orchestra. Everyone else was just running around doing whatever they were doing, and I was listening to the sounds and processing every single sound I heard. Now, a lot of times, my imagination processor will pull up a musical score. When I want to make music, he'll bring up a musical score that I will replicate. I could possibly, very possibly, have correctly reproduced accurately the exact same musical score which I heard when I was 4 or 5 years old. Because I got a big brouhaha over the whole thing. And people said if it was produced by human means, then you would be able to see it produced. As you know, I made the sounds into a microphone at the time, because the video itself was done with pictures and Windows Media Player, and I didn't have a video camera, so it was all produced on the computer. There was no visual. Now, one of the problems that if I record myself making the sound, I could easily demonstrate. When you see a cat, you see a little fuzzy kitty cat, the cat opens its mouth and it produces a sound. And people say, how does that work? I don't see any movement. It is all done through the sound system down below. And I can do the exact same demonstration. See, the only thing you see is the shaping of the sound. It's like, where's the sound coming from? The sound system, of course. So when I'm going to produce my musical score, it's going to be produced from the sound system through the air system. We've got big airbags, all the air system with the mechanical bellows down here. The mechanical bellows will change the PSI, like this. It will change the PSI of the airbags. It'll make it a high pressure or a low pressure. A low pressure volume of air that's coming through here is going to produce a low sound. A high pressure is going to produce a high sound, because the different vocal cords require different pressures to operate on. This is why most of the time men cannot use the high vocal cords, because they don't produce the pressure. All their attention and their focus goes to the arms, you see. I want to be big and muscular. I want to beat things up, you know. they don't focus any attention on the center part. Don't ask me what girls do. I'm not a girl, I have no idea. But anyways, it takes a lot of high pressure, and I'll probably get in trouble, but the first thing I was thinking of was a lot of stress, perhaps. Someone's going to slap me very soon. Anyways, high pressure makes a high sound, low pressure makes a low sound. A demonstration, that was be, let me pull this up here. I like that better. Relay. It doesn't take very much effort to do that. With a high sound. The more pressure I put, the louder it gets, the more it projects. It's brilliant. You can't really do that with a low pressure sound unless you go all the way down into the bass. If you go all the way down into the basement, as I like to call it, then you can sort of greet those bottom muscles there, like oh. That sounds really fascinating. So, I'm going to put everything that I was demonstrating at the beginning all together, and we're going to use the central processor, which I imagine specifically this way. There's one processor center that's controlling all the network processors on either side. When you put all the processors together, you combine them with the central one that's controlling everything, that runs all of this, that runs all the wiring. Then I can imagine each and every single process inside of my imagination. Therefore, what my imagination visualizes me accessing different processors which are connected to different parts of the body, and doing all of that in the imagination. I can then operate all the different systems manually. I can do it all myself through the imagination of thinking. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that high pressure air that I build up in my lungs. That's the air. And I'm going to take the sound system. That's the sound. And I'm going to combine all these together. And now this is going to be a very, very complex process, which I cannot explain the full details of it. But I will explain to you that the components inside of my main up here computer, the components that run the arms, the legs, the twisting, the muscles, all of these command centers, all wired together, are going to work simultaneously, functioning all together as one solid unit. They're going to produce a very specific, very, 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 very detailed sound, which must be produced accurately. And there's not really anything else I can demonstrate to you. I just simply do what it does. See? Now, I'll try to explain what you cannot see, because this doesn't do anything at all. Everything is operating here. Now what you can't see is that these cords are being vibrated. These cords are being stretched. These cords are being vibrated this way. This cord is being stretched this way. When we get all these cords pulled at just the right interval, I can turn my into a drawn out So then it becomes drawn out, the sound becomes longer. But it's just sound. So you have to activate the PSI, the pressure inside. The pressure building up changes the pitch of the sound, changes the way that the sound becomes sound as it exits out of what I call the speaker. Mouthpiece, I guess you call it. I just make up things as I go along, by the way. So you're like, oh, what was he saying? I don't know. I just make it all up. Because it's so complicated for me to think about. My talking abilities are not linked to my thinking abilities. My thinking knows exactly what it's thinking. And when I try to translate it into talking, it's like, I don't know. These are two separate systems. They don't really, not much of a relationship between the two. Because basically for me, talking is the lowest form of using the abilities that I have. My capabilities, the lowest of all things that I could do is talk. Because it's broken and it just makes a simple sound. It's not really that complex. My imagination is more interested in bending, shaping, molding, moving, correcting, doing all these different things that it can do with sound. Right. So this is the right network. He's operating the sound system. The left network is operating the air compression. So the whole time I'm producing sound, he's going to make the PSI just the right PSI. Just the right pressure to produce just the right sound. If you don't get the pressure right, you don't get the sound right. So then, when you combine these two together, you get... Now, if I could perhaps move the camera down a bit here. As I explained in my other video, that when I am using all my imagination, I'm focusing all these abilities and I'm rewiring everything through different channels and whatnot, the original receivers automatically respond to the signals. So when I'm using all this equipment, my arms are still responding, my waist is still responding, my legs are still responding. They just automatically respond to the signals. Because what I've done up here in the central processing unit up here, I've split the signal. One signal is going to the arm and part of the signal is going into the vocal cords. So I've split my signal so that my arm controls can now be used to function my vocal cords. The sound system, exactly. So some people will say, why are you moving all over the place? Can't you just sit still? Of course I can't sit still. I'm using these control thingies and they're still wired into what they're supposed to normally do. If I was to somehow disconnect them, then my arms would just go Ugh. They wouldn't be useful to me anymore. What if I couldn't reconnect them? I mean, disastrous. So I've never bothered to try to disconnect anything. I simply split the signal so that it goes in 2 directions, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, or 8. I can split it. Just however much I want to split, I can send it all over the place. I've learned and developed this throughout my childhood. I've caused really horrible situations within the body. Sometimes the nervous system has gone completely bonkers. Like, oops. But I've learned how to refine and do it properly. So now it is under control. And it turns into a fantastic talent. So now I would play a musical score, which people said was, I took it was copyrighted and blah 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 blah. I thought, well, perhaps, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I guess that's the musical piece that came into my imagination when I made noise. Because the very basis essence of sound is raw noise. And so if we take it all the way back, we go all the way back to the very beginning, to where I originally started out, was just noise. It's just noise. So I take the noise, we refine it, we stretch it, we bend it, we mold it, we shape it. We kind of figure out all these things. Very good. So, now we're going to add the correct PSI, which is going to change the way the sound sounds. It's going to make it totally different. It's going to be very fascinating. So, basically from my imagination, I pull up a musical track and I reproduce exactly what I'm listening to inside my imagination. Of course, a side effect I must fix. Excuse me. See, this is why I don't usually do that for other people. My goodness. All the pressure forces the air straight into my stomach, and then it gets too full. So then I have to get the air out of my stomach. Because there's tremendous pressure inside of the musical instrument. And I have become the musical instrument. So all the pressure is just, it's everywhere. There, now I've got that pressure out, I can fit more air in. Right, I can control the PSI better. Cold air. Can't put the heat on, don't be sweating. Warm water to stretch the cords. Well, that's the part I couldn't explain. If you like the crescendo. You see, in order to perform the crescendo, I need the arm controls, the leg controls, the twisting motion, all the processes that run all the different parts of the body. Because what I have done, I've turned on several sets of vocal cords simultaneously. I went from one instrument, two instruments, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got a total of 8 instruments filling beautiful sound. And it's all because my mind is wired totally different than anybody else I know. And that is why I'm not going to try to be whatever other people want me to be. Not anymore. I'm going to be me. I'm using my hat here. Yes. I made this myself. Internet website. Yeah, I guess a little promo, huh? I made it on my store. Zazzle.com/friendly autism shop. Go there, buy things. Anyway, commercial's over. Yes, I made this for me. Because I'm going to be me. Because, yeah, I can't do what other people do. I can't be like, hi, how are you? I can feel you emotionally. Oh yes, I have this connection to you. Yeah, we relate. Yeah, yeah. I can't do that, it's empty. No, I don't relate to you. I don't feel you. I don't understand you. I don't know anything about you. The only thing I know is the logical breakdown of all the details of every single fact about you, so that I can actually become you. Strangely enough. One of my best examples of processing all of that data is somebody that I watched for years and years and years, and you know, he was on television, so I could stare at him. I could stare meticulously at him. I could study every last detail. His name was Cobra Commander! Yes! I have become the Cobra Commander! And no Joe will ever
I can even become Destro and talk like this.
Or I can be the Baroness. Which is kind of hard because I've been singing. It doesn't sound right. You're the Baroness with helium. Ah, yeah, I've got, my pressure's low.
Oh well, I'll go back to being Cobra Commander.
I like being Cobra Commander anyway. There's all sorts of things I could do. I was thinking, what for fun? If I can get the words organized, I used to have everything all organized before I had a terrible accident, which caused massive brain damage, which ruined a lot of capabilities. But something I used to do when I was a young teenager. And certainly won't use the words from then. It's funny. I've tried to make everything nice, because I used to imitate anything I saw without knowing the difference between right and wrong. And so there's a lot of different things. So how about I do a nice version? Let's see, I gotta put the words together. Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, I'm gonna try improvise. What time is it here? 35? I'll try improvise rap. It's funny. It makes me laugh, but I'm gonna try it anyway. I'll just have fun because that's what I do now. I don't really care about anything except really having fun. It'll be like this. Yo, 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 there's about to be a black attack. It's not a heart attack. It's how I do what you do. I see what you do. Then I become you. I envision, realize reality in my eyes. What I see you do, then I do. Then I become you. And you is me, and me is you, and we is all the same. It's like that. It's like a game. It's like everything to me is I don't know where is where, what is what. I just try to make up words off the top of my head. I probably should go to bed. I just making up rhymes. Yeah, it was cooler back when I was a young teenager. I could think better. I have a really hard time thinking now. I suffered massive brain damage. That wasn't too bad. That's why I was laughing. It was like a black attack. It's not a heart attack. Oh, I'm gonna turn into African man. Ooh, down, 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 country fight. Down, 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 down. Why can't I be like everyone else? Why can't I? Why can't I understand this world? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Why are all these songs slow and sad? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, no, I don't know. I don't know why they're all slow and sad. Or, here's a fun one. Look into my eyes and suddenly realize I don't understand you. I don't see what you'll say. I only know the things I know in my own reality. That's cool. How about I do like a hardcore heavy metal? See, that's the hard thing, is picking out nice words. It sounds funny when I do it because I won't do the disrespectful one. I try to come up with something nice to say. Let's see. We're gonna do a heavy metal, right? What you don't see really bothers me. Everywhere I go, reality. Really? I don't know.
Something.
Oh man, that's fun. Well, perhaps I could do a TV character. I could talk like this, eh? Yeah, how's it going there? What you doing? Oh, hey, fine, yeah. Now, something that I figured out inside of my own imagination was, I might tilt this up a little bit. I have such a complication here. Isn't it? Just a little bit. There you go. I don't want to get too far away because every time I worry if the microphone will pick anything up, and then I go back and check the video, there's hardly any sound. I'm like, what? So it's a real difficult issue with the wide angle there. Yeah. If I get too close, I chop my head off. Hey, where'd my hat go? But, something that I realized inside my imagination was the different way that people talk. And when you process it, you're like, look at this, fire engine. You can't see it. I can see what you can't see. Anyways, I was thinking about the climatology, because different people speak different ways, and so climate is a different temperature. The temperature of the air is relative to the pressure of the air. So then you get into the PSI. I know how to control my internal PSI. So, if I correctly monitor and control my internal PSI, then I can replicate the climatology of the accent that I hear. So like if I went to Australia, I'd be talking like this, you see. It's a little bit of something PSI, you add right here, it's like, oh, how's it going, mate? That's alright, right, that's so good. Well, then you go to Britain. Britain has the same accent, but it sounds totally different. That's because the British are way up here. There's totally different PSI. So when they go to talk, you have like a higher sounding, because colder air is more dense. You see, when you go south, the air gets less dense. So the Australian people, they have like a little bit of a deeper sound to their voice, it's sound bit like this. And then you go up north to Britain, it's like, oh, it's talk like this, and you're only Britain because the air pressure is so high that your voice ends up going up really high like this. But really, it's the same accent, it's just different PSI. So, that was part of how I began to develop different replications all around the world. Something like, I talk like an Australian like this, I talk like a British like this. And when you come over to America, you've got several different zones in America. I've got to fix that real quick. Yeah, sorry. Head cold. So, you have the different people from the different parts of the other parts of the world, but they come here and they all talk differently because down east south you've got a tropical climate, and then east north you've got a colder, drier climate, and then in the middle you've got like this temperate zone. And then you go to the west. What about that? In the west you've got the dry, hot south, and then the it's a bit like a warm, moist upper north area. So you have all the different regions in America, so the people that come from over here, they all talk the same. When they come to America, they talk all differently. You've got all different accents in all different places. And then some people move somewhere and they stay there for so long, they sort of really start talking like the people from there. And oh well, it's probably the PSI, basically, the pressure in the air. You go low, you go high. Probably a good example is my bottle of hot water, because now it's going into winter time and the air is drier and it's cold, it's very heavy. It's difficult to stretch the vocal cords, which the optimal temperature would be 85 degrees. Flex very nicely. It's quite warm at 85 though. But that's basically my breakdown on that. And I should wrap it up because the video is getting long. But I hope that everyone enjoys the examples of what I was trying to type on the keyboard. I tried to make keyboard words, and then nobody could understand what I was trying to explain. It's very complicated. So now I have a visual example of what I attempted to put into words,